Hey everyone, and welcome to World of Tanks 9.3. We're here on the test server in the first iteration, just in case there is several more than just one, like there sometimes is. So there's a few new things on this iteration of the test server. First off, there's the map Murovanka. It was reworked. It's been increased from 800 by 800 meters to 1,000 by 1,000 meters. That's going to be a whole other video on that map alone, so there will be an annotation up on the screen now, as well as a link in the description, so check that out. And there's also several new tanks. We'll get to those in a minute. There's 7 or 8 of those. And then there's also 7 or 8 now HD tank models, as they're calling them. So that's neat, and it looks like this is the first of the new tanks I have on the list here, which is the T37, the Tier 6 American light tank. It looks like all the new tanks, with one exception of the KV-85, as far as I can tell here. Hopefully I got all the tanks, but the notes, the test notes, the changelog on the World of Tanks website for this update seems a little bit weird, but it looks like they have it listed, new content, new high tier light tanks. Looks like they're all tier 6 to 8. So yeah, this is the T37. This is stock. I'm gonna show you guys what exactly it looks like. I guess I wanted to try to compare, to let you guys compare to what it looked like stock compared to fully upgraded, because there is a difference, specifically with how the turret and the gun look. So right now it appears to be HD, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure this is HD, one of the HD textures. So you can look around. It looks pretty nice. I won't spend too much time on each tank, just because I don't want to be done. I don't want to be on each one forever. But the fenders are clearly dented, or the track guards, whichever you want to call them. This thing, I'm not going to give a full tank review, of course, but that'll take way too long. But it looks like it's your typical light tank as far as armor goes, and I'm sure it follows suit as far as speed, maneuverability, and its gun do as well. There is an exception to that, but we'll get to that soon enough. Okay, that's a stock turret. Now we'll go up to the upgraded turret. Whoop, don't mind the phone vibrating. It's a little bit bulkier, but not really a huge difference. Let's switch back once more. Yeah, it's a little bit bulkier, but that's pretty much. It'll be hard to tell the difference if you're trying to spot if this tank is upgraded or not. You'll have to look relatively closely. As far as the gun goes, let's see here. We have the 75mm and a few different 76mm. Looks like this one has an autoloader. 5 shells in the magazine, 2 seconds between each shell, and then 20 seconds to reload all 5. Not bad. And 137mm penetration, that's not bad either. It's not bad. It could be better, but it's not bad. Well, let's switch over to the top gun, I guess, just to kind of get an idea of what it looks like. There it is, a little bit longer. And we'll switch to the magazine as well. It looks pretty much identical. It's a little bit different, but it's very similar. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on every gun for each tank, because again, that'll take forever. But yeah, there's, in a nutshell, the M41 light tank, tier 6 American. Now then, I'm going to move on to the next tank, which will be the M41 Walker Bulldog. It's a tier 7 American, also a light tank, of course. And as we go up there to look around for that new tank, you're going to see that there is a new interface. I'm sure you've already noticed that. That's not a mod or anything. That is the new interface in 9.3. Everything works a little bit differently. It gives you a little bit of a tutorial or a look around that takes you like 30 seconds. And you can skip it if you want. When you first log in, stop vibrating phone, you can go over there. And yeah, it shows your personal rating, your battle spot, rate of victories, or victory percentage, as I would call it. And all that stuff right there. And you can also extend your premium, easy enough. And yeah, the more basic stuff. I like the quick link to the crate platoon button. That seems very, very handy. That looks different too. I didn't know that was different. I haven't looked at most of these things. Oh, that's annoying that that. Oh, no, it's not really. I haven't looked at too many of these things myself at this point. Let's go into the tech tree, and we can get a look at how the tech tree looks now. So this is the American. If you don't go in here too much, then you won't really notice much of a difference, like I don't. So look, next up is the M41 Walker Bulldog. That's a tier 7. It is tier 7. That would help if I looked into the tier 7s. Let's hop into it in the garage. This thing looks a little more sleek. I've seen some other mediums that look a little more like this. Somehow the turret kind of reminds me of the one on the M103, which maybe you can kind of see how I think that, maybe not. And I shouldn't have switched. And I'm terrible at finding stuff in here, even when it's right in my face. Come on. Alright, there we go. That was painful. So, displaying garage. Looking at it here. So as far as the turret goes, again, a very small difference. The gun on top is really the only way you can actually tell if it's stock or not. Otherwise, everything's just so minute. Let's see, 2 seconds between shells, 32 seconds for a complete loading. That's significant. And 10 shells in the magazine. That means 20 seconds to unload the whole thing at 150 damage each. That's a fair amount of damage. It's got 4 more shells than the T71's gun, and that'll tear up any tank. Anytime I underestimate the T71's gun, it kills me. So this thing is going to be a bit scary to come across on the battlefield if it has that. And as far as other guns go, purchase. Doesn't look a whole lot different itself either. And yeah, that is the M41 Walker Bulldog, the new tier 7 American light tank. Next up we have the T49, it's a tier 8. So as you can see, we're going down the line there. And here it is. Looks very, very similar again. Not a whole lot of difference there. Turret test bed. Oh, that's pretty sleek looking. It looks like a UFO of some sort, doesn't it? A flying saucer. I imagine that'll be quite bouncy. Well, it says 38 millimeters of turret armor. So hopefully it is a bouncy shape, because at tier 8, 38 millimeters at tier 8 isn't going to do very much for you. But it does look pretty neat, I must say. Let's switch back again. Whoops. Yeah, it's a smaller turret too, which at the very least is going to make you a slightly harder turret target to hit. But I guess we'll just have to see how it is once we get it going. And as far as its gun goes, it has 152 millimeter. Well, that's interesting. 2.61 rounds per minute. That's a pretty low rate of fire. I think you're going to be out. You're going to be shot at by some pretty big guns a lot faster than you're going to be able to shoot back. But look at this thing. 76 millimeters of penetration. You know, nothing special. But 910 average damage. Dang. This thing does more damage on average than, say, your T95 or your Object 704 does. And this is at tier 8. Does more damage than any heavy in one shot. Well, mostly. I don't want to say too much there. Ooh, look at that thing. Does it say its accuracy in here? Dispersion to 100 meters. 0.6 if I can learn to read. And aiming time 3.6. Alright, so it's not very accurate, but at close ranges, this thing will be deadly. I don't want to get shot by that. We might have to mess with that later in another video. We'll see. Dang. Next up, we have the LTTB, the Tier 7 Soviet light tank. And as soon as I find that, which is here, this is the new line I think I'm going to be pushing down. Remember, the MT25 once upon a time was the T52, and between that and now, the whole tech tree is a lot different. It Doesn't have the T50 immediately before it anymore. But anyway, looking at the LTTB, I'm definitely going to go down this line because I love the T54, and there's now a T54 Lightweight, which we'll get to next. But anyway, LTTB, take a look at that. It looks kind of like a cross between the T50 and the T34, to be honest. It looks like a bulky T50 or a really small T34. So, that being said, take a quick look around. Back looks well angled, but I don't think 45 millimeters of armor is going to do too much at Tier 7. No matter how well it's sloped for the most part. Need to upgrade the suspension for its components. It only has one turret, so that's something to note. As far as turret armor goes, 90 millimeters frontally. And its gun, it's got 385 millimeters. And we'll just take a quick look at the biggest one. And it is a long gun. That is a very long gun. I wonder how long this middle one is, just because I'm curious now. It's a little shorter, and of course the stock one's the shortest. But that is one long gun. And of course, after the LTTB and before the T54 medium tank, we have the T54 Lightweight. I am very curious to see how this thing will perform. I might have to break up my free experience for this. At first glance, it looks very much like the T54, which maybe I'll compare it to after this. It looks very, very similar. So comparing its stats, we'll go over to the tech tree for a second, then we'll come back and take another closer look. Off the bat, you see that it doesn't have as much engine power, but that might be stock. I'll have to take a look at that too. It is lighter. It has less less hit points. Not a big surprise there. As far as its armor goes, it has less armor. So 80 on the lightweight, 120 on the regular T54, on the medium, which I think is a fair amount of armor for a medium tank, by the way. And turret armor, sorry, is 200 millimeters on the regular and 160 on the light. So that's still a decent amount of armor for a turret because, well, it's a very bouncy shape. I find stuff with a lot more than 200 millimeters of penetration bouncing off the front of the T54's turret. It's not uncommon for me to bounce Tier 10 TDs and Tier 9 TDs quite often. As far as top speed goes, it's not surprisingly the lightweights is higher. But everything else is relatively similar. Basically, it takes on some more light tank characteristics. So going back to the garage, T54 Lightweight, I keep having to look up to make sure it is the T54 Lightweight. And I keep looking up here because that's where the name was before, because it looks so similar to the T54. But looking at the turret, there is only the one turret, so that's good. There's not a stock turret, which I hated on the first T54. Let's take a look around this thing. It looks quite similar to the medium T54, and it has just another 100 millimeter. Again, I haven't looked at these. I haven't looked at these prior to this video. It has the same penetration and the same damage as the first gun. However, it does have a roughly the same rate of fire. It starts higher but ends lower. Let's see, rate of fire 7.5 and rate of fire 7.32. So I guess you're better off with a stock gun. Let's look at its accuracy. So it looks like 2300. It looks like the top gun is more accurate, has a faster aiming time, and is more accurate. However, the upgraded gun aims faster and is more accurate. However, it does weigh a little bit more, but not much at all, for you to really have to worry about that. And looks very similar, of course. Alright, let's compare that to the regular T54 real quick here. Russian medium. Oh, I'm going to need a light though, right? Alright, so here's the T54 Lightweight, and here's the T54 medium. very, very similar. Looks like the turret's aligned a little bit closer to the front with the lightweight, but other than that, there's not really, unsurprisingly, a whole lot. Next up, we have what I'm going to read as the Spa Panzer RU 251. It's the Tier 8 German light tank, and as you can see, this German tech tree is a mess. I remember when they first came out with a side-scrolling tech tree, because before they had a vertically scrolling one, they had complaints about all of them scrolling, having to scroll to get to the higher tier tanks. But this German one, there's just so many tanks, and it's such a mess that you have to scroll. Anyway, here's that tank there. Let's take a look at it. It looks very light looking. Maybe I'm just not used to driving German vehicles enough, but to me it looks quite lightly colored. It is a decent looking vehicle. It kind of reminds me of the Leopard 1. Again, I haven't driven the Leopard 1, but I've seen him around the battlefield enough. As far as everything goes, it looks like stat-wise, nothing stands out a whole lot. Again, basically no armor, but it's a light tank. And 80 km/h top speed, so it's decent as far as everything goes at first look. Now the turret, one turret again. That seems to be a common theme here, and one gun. All right, fair enough. Not a whole lot of option there, but I guess it's because it is. Oh, it's not even the end of the line. I assumed it would be because of all that. It does have upgraded engines that you can upgrade as well as suspension and radio though, so don't worry, you're not getting off that easy. That turret too, that is not a very exposed turret ring. Not that it really matters, but that's a lack of a weak spot hidden behind 25mm armor. Hopefully that'll help your turret from getting jammed. Alright, so next up we have the KV-85. That's a new tank added as well. It was listed in the new content heading for whatever reason, with the rest of the tanks, all the light tanks, in the patch notes. So I'm kind of wondering if there's any other tanks I missed. I did look over it quickly, but I mean, there's just so much stuff. There's so many tanks that got rebalanced and everything, and I'll put a link to the notes in the description as well. But we have the KV-85. You'll notice it's a Tier 6, and what's this to the left of it? A KV-1S at Tier 5? Yeah, the KV-1S has been turned into a Tier 5 as far as its balancing goes. Maybe you can see real quick there. I don't know what was changed on it. Excuse me. It doesn't really say in the test notes either. It just says it was turned to a Tier 5 and replaced with the KV-85. So, who really knows? Actually, now that I'm thinking of it, let's... Alright, they do have plans to replace the FV215B and the FV, I believe it's the FV4202 with other tanks, and I wasn't sure if those were changed yet. So that'll probably be in maybe the next patch. Anyway, let's take a quick look at the KV-85, and then we'll take a look at the 1S because it is now HD too. So the KV-85 here, you can see it. Oh, that does. Alright, that's it. I thought it was still the one of the previous tanks we were on. So, 820 hit points. I guess the same thing, kinda. Hull armor, 75mm. Turret armor, 100mm. Alright. So, as it looks like your standard Russian tank to me, to be honest. I don't see a whole lot of special stuff there. Or, I mean, anything out of the ordinary. Let's look at its second turret purchase. I did not see a difference. Let's try a different angle. I see absolutely no difference there. Oh, never mind. There's a very tiny one. There's just a little bar right here. But other than that, I guess maybe the bar's on that side too, but other than that, there's not really any kind of difference. Let's take a look at the guns. That's a good angle to get at. 85mm, 100mm, and 122mm. What one you choose will probably be the 122, although keep in mind it does have a low rate of fire. So let's take a look at just the 122. A little bit longer. although nothing too special. Yeah. Again, looks like it got part. It looks like almost it had part of the HD treatment, and then they got lazy, like the fender type things. They're all bent up, but then the hull just, I don't know. There's no real detail in it like there is in a lot of the other tanks, including with the wear marks for the most part. The exhaust marks on there are kind of neat though, but still, that's not a whole lot. I feel like they got a little bit lazy there, which is kind of unfortunate. Now, there is one more tank they list under the new content as a light tank, and that is it says for testing only, so it's not actually in here available to the average player. It is the Soviet T54 85M. It's a tier 6 medium. So, okay, it's a medium, not a light. I'm corrected, sorry. But as a tier 6, I don't see the T34 85M. I just see the regular T34 85. So must be just for super testers, which makes sense since it says for testing only underlined on the note page. So next up, we have some HD tanks to look at. So first off, a KV-1S, and oh, you might be about to hear thunder because it is lightning outside. Really shouldn't be on here, but anyway, the KV-1S right here is now in HD, so we'll take a quick look at all the HD tanks. It looks a little bit smoother. It looks different than the KV-85, so maybe they're not completely done it, or maybe they actually did forget it or got lazy. I wouldn't be terribly surprised if they update that before the this update goes into full release. Nice shiny wheels, nice rounded wheels. Remember, compared to some of the older tanks, such as I think the T34-85, no, that one has been done too. Let's look at this one. You can see how the wheels, especially these upper circular, anything circular, you can kind of see anything rounded kind of has squared edges, whereas on the newer vehicles, not as much, and that's one of the things that make it look nicer. Alright, and of course I do have just the standard everything on here, everything's stock, but yeah, a little bit different. And then we also have the T34, which it is this T34, not the American heavy premium. So its turret looks too small. It's like he has a really small head for his body. That's a little bit better. Little ding marks there from other shells that have hit it. A few scratches here and there. Overall, not a bad looking tank. After that, there is the IS-7. Now that's one that a lot of you will know. That's well, obviously a tier 10 heavy. Displaying garage. And there we go. First off, you're going to notice the top of this thing looks so naked without the machine gun standing up. It's laying down now. It looks like a bald guy. It looks like these hatches might actually be even harder to hit now. They were already next to impossible from directly in front of it before, but now it's going to be very tough. Again, looks nice. I like the guards around the headlights. I don't think those were there before, but I of course don't own the IS-7 on the regular server, on the standard North American that I play on. So, has that been there before? But it looks sleeker. I like the wear marks. I like the right there, that kind of chip out of the corner of the turret. It's in a few spots. That's a neat touch. Of course, the tracks and road wheels look nice and shiny. Exhaust marks. That's a nice touch. Of course, all the soot and crap and burn marks on the tank. And my mouse is not moving up and down. Alright, that only took about a minute of fighting with my mouse. It seems to be very sensitive in that manner. But I just can't get over how weird it looks without the gun standing up on top of the turret. But it's obviously a few new additions and more detail. It's nice looking. Hopefully when I shoot it in the back with my 183, it's still going to catch on fire just as nicely too. Although that's a change they made to a lot of vehicles. Not all vehicles, but a few of them that when you shoot them in the transmission, they won't catch on fire anymore, and that's again, you'll have to look in the notes, but on a lot of tanks like the FV 215B 183 and the Panzer E100, as well as the Waffenträger and a few things like that. Next up, the ISU 152. Sorry, right here. I like the kind of textured look on the front there, on that, and on the lower plate as well. Just looks rather nice. Looks like it's taken a few hits. That gun mantle looks blurry compared to the rest of it. That's my criticism. And I like how the I guess that'd be the exhaust or the air intake above the engine there would be or I like how it looks a little bit bent. That's nice looking. Little details, everything that makes it look used is what I like. I guess the exhaust are on the side, so yeah, that's just the engine compartment. It's very good looking, of course. There's a horn. And some HD shovels. Alright, next up we have the M5 Stuart. That is an American light tank. And there it is. Let's upgrade this thing, because it looks like its head is too small for its body too. And whatever, we don't need the gun. It looks like its tracks have seen better days. It looks like they've been abused by running over tough terrain and rocks, and it's got quite a few kilometers on it. I can't zoom any more than this, so I apologize for that. Everything from the details on that, the viewport there, the way the glass kind of shines, to how it looks kind of dirty, is a nice little touch. And of course the back of it looks mean, as you would expect. This thing just looks like it's been abused throughout its years of service. Alright, now we have the M3 Lee. That is an American medium. One that you guys maybe buy back in a live stream a while back. Just to watch me suffer, I guess. It doesn't look as HD as some of the other ones again. But there's still all the little things that make it look abused, and again, I can't move my mouse up and down or left and right very well. And tracks, of course, look nice and shiny. Looks good, looks good. And last but not least, we have the Jagdpanther. I never realized that the top of it was sloped like that. Can you tell I've never driven it? Looks nice. I like how the welds kind of show up real nice there. It has big, thick, heavy welds. They look like they stick out, although they actually don't, as you can tell if you look at it at a good angle. But they look like they do. Scratches down the side, as if it's been moving through the woods or something like that. A few little dents along the edges, as you would have, as well as a bunch of scuffs along the front. Looks like it's plowed over some trees or over some, maybe come into contact with something else, as well as all the regular stuff. Real big wheels, that German look. And that about concludes that for the new HD tank models, as well as the new tank editions. So hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully this is what you were looking for when you came searching. There is a ton of updates, a ton of changes. A lot of vehicles have been rebalanced, a lot of nerfs and buffs. Mostly nerfs, it seems. But I'll let you guys look at the list yourself, because if I were to read it, it'd be here for another 20 minutes. So hopefully you enjoyed. I'll put the link to the changelog, all the notes, in the video description, and I'll also put a link to the map tour video in the description as well. So hopefully you all enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.